You're not alone, and you never have been and never will be. These creatures are on every square inch of your body, inside and out. Crawling, breathing, killing, dying. Trillions of them. And there's nothing you can do about it. They kind of run the place, and the place is you. We're going to give you a tour of your own body and show you all the creatures that live within you. By the end of this video, you'll see your body as something completely new. Because your body isn't just a body. It's a collection of different ecosystems and food chains with its own conditions and its own majestic wildlife. Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Animalogic. Today, we're taking a tour of the wildlife living on your body, starting from the outside and working our way in. Let's start with the largest organ of your body, your skin. At first glance, your skin doesn't seem like a great place to live. It's dry, it's exposed, and it's constantly shedding. But for microbes, it's prime real estate. Different parts of your skin create completely different habitats. Some areas are like oil fields, like your face and scalp. Fungi, like Malassezia, thrive in these oily environments. They feed on your scalp oils and churn out byproducts that can irritate the scalp and cause dandruff. Some are moist, like your armpits. Here, bacteria like Corynebacterium and Staphylococcus hominis feed on sweat. It's that breakdown process that actually creates body odor. Here's the twist. Some lucky people have a genetic variant that changes the composition of their sweat, so the bacteria don't have the right compounds to make it smell. Other areas of your body are basically deserts. Take your elbows. They're dry, exposed, and low in nutrients. Only the hardiest bacteria survive here, like Micrococcus luteus, which is kind of like a desert lizard that is resilient against UV radiation and long periods without water. Or Cocuria, which are like scavengers that survive off of scraps of dead skin and are built to endure tough, nutrient-poor conditions. Environment matters. Your elbow and my elbow have more similar microbiomes than your elbow and your face. Move a few centimeters, and suddenly, everything changes. In one study, the diversity of bacteria on the palm was up to 3 times higher than on the forearm or elbow. And that's true before and after you wash your hands. Your hands are constantly picking up new microbes from everything you touch, so they're one of the most busy environments on your body. You'll find a mix of familiar skin bacteria like Staphylococcus epidermis, which helps defend your skin by keeping harmful microbes in check. Bacteria, like Corynebacterium, help break down compounds on your skin, shaping the environment other microbes live in. They live alongside environmental microbes like Acinetobacter, picked up from surfaces and able to survive in tough conditions. In the microscopic world, who you live on matters too. Women's hands tend to be more diverse than men's, likely influenced by differences in skin chemistry, hormones, and daily habits. They also tend to carry more lactic acid bacteria like Lactobacillus, the same kind used to ferment foods like yogurt and pickles. Tasty. The skin on your face is an entirely different world. It's warmer, richer in oils, and packed with nutrients, which makes it one of the most densely populated ecosystems on your body. Sebum, your skin's natural oil, is basically an all-you-can-eat buffet for microbes. Your face can have around 10 times more oil glands than other parts of the body. It's more exposed to the elements than anywhere else, so sebum provides extra protection. It locks in moisture, reinforces your barrier, and creates a slightly acidic environment that keeps harmful microbes out. Bacteria, like Cutibacterium acnes, thrive here, breaking down sebum into fatty acids that help maintain that protective, acidic layer. But when pores get clogged and oil builds up, it creates that perfect low-oxygen environment for Cutibacterium acnes to grow out of control. Your immune system responds, and that's when a simple imbalance turns into inflammation and acne. Bacteria, like Staphylococcus epidermis, can help keep things balanced, producing compounds that can keep bacteria like Cutibacterium in check and limit the growth of more harmful bacteria. You and your microbes have evolved together, each playing a role in keeping your skin healthy, most of the time. And these microbes munch over time. Sleep is not a thing for them, and neither is it for your skin. But here's the thing, they do appreciate it when you finally get your beauty sleep. When you doze off, your skin kicks into full repair mode. Cell turnover spikes, inflammation calms, and your microbiome rebalances. So good skincare isn't just about what you put on your face, it starts with where you sleep. That's where Helix, the sponsor of today's episode, comes in. Helix makes mattresses built specifically for you. Because just like your skin bacteria thrive in completely different environments across your body, your ideal sleep setup is different to anyone else's. You take their 2-minute sleep quiz and they match you to your perfect mattress based on your sleep position, body type, and preferences. I took the quiz myself and got matched with the Helix Twilight Luxe. And honestly, me and my microbes are feeling real good. I love a firm bed, and this mattress gives me all the support I need so that my lower back feels great in the morning. Surprise, I'm old. You don't really realize how much of a difference it makes to sleep on the right mattress for you until you actually do it. So it's both comfortable and good for my body. And this is maybe an underrated part about mattresses, but it keeps me cool. Helix mattresses have cooling options to keep your temperatures regulated overnight, which is huge because your core body temp dropping is literally what triggers deep sleep. Better temp, better sleep, happier skin ecosystem. It's all connected. Helix offers free shipping, a 120-night sleep trial, and a lifetime warranty. So there's really no excuse not to upgrade your sleep and your skincare routine at the same time. Visit helixsleep.com/animalogic to get a real luxury mattress your microbes will thank you for, and you can even get 20% off site-wide with their spring savings event. You've got trillions of organisms depending on you to get a good night's rest. Don't let them down. And now, back to exploring the wildlife on and inside you. I have to tell you something. There are tiny animals living on your eyelashes, possibly watching this video with you. Living deep within your hair follicles are microscopic mites called Demodex. They're about 1/3 of a millimeter long, too small to see, but perfectly adapted to life on your face. Humans usually host at least 2 species. Demodex folliculorum tends to live on clusters at the base of hair follicles, especially around your eyelashes, while Demodex brevis lives near your oil glands, deep in your hair follicles. They feed on your oils and dead skin cells. They're nocturnal, and at night they crawl out of your pores to mate. They can actually only survive on humans, so they can thank us for their entire existence. They spend their entire lives on you until the end, which isn't pretty. They don't seem to have an anus, so they hold their feces their entire lives until they explode and die. And yes, this is all happening around your eyes. They're passed between people over time, often through close contact. So at some point, you probably picked up your mites from someone else, even if you don't remember locking eyelashes with anyone. This might be a lot to process, but under normal conditions, eyelash mites are completely harmless, and almost every adult human has them. Eyelash mites are commensals, which are species that benefit from living on us without significantly helping or harming us. The main takeaway is that they're less like invaders and more like permanent residents in a very crowded apartment building. Just don't get them confused with eyelash crabs, which are parasitic pubic lice that have transferred to the eye and definitely require treatment. FYI, those usually need medicated creams and careful removal of the lice and their eggs from the lashes. Eyelash critters are far from alone. Your skin is a jungle home to around 1 trillion microbes, including bacteria, fungi, and viruses, all thriving on its surface. Scientists sometimes describe this as a second skin, and it's a personal one. No two people have exactly the same microbial community. Your microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint. Even identical twins have distinct microbiomes. And this microbiome is constantly changing. Every time you touch something, travel somewhere new, or even just feel a breeze on your face, you're picking up and losing microbes. Most of these microbes made a symbiotic pact with us millions of years ago. We give them shelter and food, and in turn, they get to work for us. They play an active role in your health. Many of these microbes are part of your immune system, competing with harmful invaders and helping to train your body to recognize what belongs and what doesn't. For example, bacteria like Staphylococcus hominis produce antimicrobial peptides, basically natural antibiotics that can inhibit harmful microbes like Staphylococcus aureus, which causes the notorious MRSA, antibiotic-resistant staph infections. So most of the microbes on your skin aren't freeloaders, they're more like security guards. So if you're ever feeling down, just remind yourself that you're important enough to have millions of your own private security with you 24/7. And I'm talking from the moment you were born. Inside the womb, fetuses grow in a relatively low microbe environment. But during delivery, that changes quickly. As a baby passes through the birth canal, they're coated in billions of their mother's bacteria, mainly from the vaginal and gut microbiomes. Bacteria and babies may sound like a bad combo, but it's extremely important for our health. These microbes become the first colonizers of our bodies, helping to seed the microbiome. One important group is Bifidobacterium infantis, a bacterium specialized in breaking down complex sugars in human milk that babies can't digest on their own. Those sugars aren't there to feed the baby directly. They're there to feed the microbes. And in return, those microbes help shape the gut environment. They support early immune development and lower the pH, creating a slightly acidic environment where beneficial microbes like B. infantis thrive and harmful ones struggle. When babies don't acquire as many of these microbes, their gut communities can develop differently, and sometimes with fewer of the bacteria that specialize in those early life nutrients. Babies born by C-section are exposed to a different set of microbes at birth, often more from the maternal skin and hospital environment than from the vaginal microbiome. In general, studies have found links between microbiome imbalances and complications common to the industrialized world, like allergies and asthma. But it's important to remember that many factors are involved in the development of inflammatory and immune disorders. Over the first few years of life, this bacterial ecosystem continues to develop. Feeding, environment, and everyday exposure impacts our microbiome as we grow. It takes until the toddler years for a healthy, adult-like microbiome to form. And these microbial systems that form in your body are all connected. Scientists often refer to this as the skin-gut-brain axis, a network linking your skin, your digestive system, and even your brain. Changes in one system can ripple into the others, impacting immune responses and inflammatory conditions like acne and eczema. In the gut, bacteria like Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus help produce compounds that interact with pathways that affect mood, stress, and even sleep. Remember the acne-causing bacteria, Cutibacterium? That's not the full story. Higher levels of Cutibacterium and other skin bacteria have been linked to reduced stress, improved mood, and better sleep. So next time you hear the expression, trust your gut, there might actually be some science behind it. If your skin is a patchwork of deserts, grasslands, and jungles, well, your mouth is a rainforest. Warm, wet, and constantly supplied with nutrients. In just 1 milliliter of saliva, there are around 100 million microbial cells, made up of hundreds of different species. Together, they form dense communities on your teeth, gums, and tongue. That fuzzy film you feel on your teeth at the end of the day, that's not just leftover food, it's alive. Bacteria stick to your teeth, build up protective coatings, and create an environment where different species thrive together. Fusobacterium nucleatum particularly helps different species stick together, acting almost like a bridge that holds these communities in place, which is useful until it helps the wrong microbes move in. Some microbes feed on the waste of their neighbors, some break down sugars, and some produce acids that melt our teeth if we don't brush enough. For example, bacteria like Streptococcus mutans give us cavities. You're not even born with these guys. They're passed to you over time. They're especially good at turning sugar into sticky glue that lets them stick to your teeth and build plaque. Which is probably why they thrived as human diets became richer in carbohydrates at the advent of agriculture 10,000 years ago. As they feed on these sugars, they produce an acid byproduct that slowly eats away at your enamel. And in rare cases, if S. mutans enters the bloodstream, they can even contribute to heart infections. Bacteria like Porphyromonas gingivalis and Treponema denticola impact signaling molecules that S. mutans needs to thrive in plaque biofilms. But that's not to say that they're heroes of this story. They are linked to gum disease when they grow out of balance. They trigger inflammation and release enzymes that break down the gum tissue that supports your teeth. So yes, there are some microbes that try to hurt us sometimes, but who we've learned to live with. But thankfully, there is more good bacteria in our bodies than bad. In your mouth, bacteria like Streptococcus sanguinis and Streptococcus gordonii are some of your earliest mouth colonizers. They are basically the first to settle on your teeth and help shape the environment before others arrive. And when more harmful microbes do arrive, they're not afraid to compete with them. They take up space, use up nutrients, and produce antimicrobial compounds like hydrogen peroxide that are especially bad for cavity-causing bacteria. And S. veillonella does something unusual. It feeds on lactic acid produced by other bacteria, which means it can actually help reduce the acidity that leads to tooth decay. You're basically like the mayor of a bustling city, complete with infrastructure, cooperation, and the occasional chemical warfare. Of all the functioning ecosystems throughout your body, there is one that is the most complex of all. Trillions of microbes live inside your digestive system alone. They make up about 99% of all the microbes in your body. Altogether, they can weigh up to around 2 kilograms. About the same as your brain. Or, put another way, you're carrying around the equivalent of a small animal made entirely of microbes. Some scientists even consider the gut microbiome to be its own organ, which is wild because it means you might technically have an organ made of other organisms, which have their own organs. Organception. And these microbes are definitely working with you. And sometimes against you, but mostly with you. And also to use you, but mostly with you. Your gut microbes break down food that your body can't digest on its own, especially complex plant fibers. Bacteria like Bacteroides, Bifidobacteria, and Ruminococcus in particular are experts at breaking down fiber, which unlocks energy your body couldn't access otherwise. In the process, they produce short-chain fatty acids. These are compounds that feed the cells lining your gut, help regulate inflammation, and keep your intestinal barrier strong. Without them, your gut lining becomes more vulnerable. You lose some digestive capacity, and inflammation can increase. But if they grow too dominant, they can crowd out other beneficial species. Not fun. For example, you need room for Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, which is one of the most important and abundant microbes in your gut, specifically your colon. They are non-motile, meaning they can't really move on their own, since they don't have flagella swimming wings. Instead, they wait. It feeds on the leftovers of other microbes and turns them into short-chain fatty acids that help protect your gut and keep inflammation in check. In people with conditions like Crohn's disease, it's often one of the first microbes to drop. In your intestines, Bifidobacterium are Y-shaped bacterial royalty. There are around 50 species of them and are particularly important for your body early in life. In the first few weeks of life, they can make up 60% of all the bacteria in the infant gut microbiome. And that's a good thing, because they help digest the healthy sugars in breast milk and may help the immune system too. This relationship goes way back. Our microbiome co-evolved with us to communicate with our body and kindly ask our immune system to not kill them. Even E. coli can help train your immune system. It can cause a nasty infection in excess, but usually it's just a normal part of the system. It helps produce vitamins, like vitamin K, and compete with more dangerous microbes, like Salmonella. It's tempting to divide microbes into good and bad, friends and foes. But in reality, it's not that simple. A microbe that's harmless or even helpful in one part of your body can become dangerous somewhere else. Think of it less like good versus bad species and more like a balanced ecosystem. When you take antibiotics to get rid of some of the harmful bacteria, you can also destroy your good bacteria, which then opens the door for more unwanted bacteria to thrive in your body. Your body is constantly managing this balance, keeping communities stable, preventing overgrowth, and responding when something gets out of control. Our gut microbiome is constantly changing in response to environment, sleep, stress, and diet. The good news? You can control some of that, especially what you eat. You might be wondering here about taking probiotics, which are live bacteria and yeasts promoted as having various health benefits. There is some evidence that they can be useful for certain digestive issues, including lactose intolerance and irritable bowel syndrome. They are generally safe for people with a healthy immune system, but evidence of their benefits is still generally limited. What is clear, a colorful, diverse diet rich in fibrous, plant-based foods are linked to a more diverse and stable microbiota. Regular physical activity, limiting ultra-processed foods, and incorporating fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, and kimchi are also shown to reduce inflammatory markers and increase microbial diversity. And that diversity matters. When diversity drops, it can leave open spaces for less beneficial or even harmful microbes to move in. The human microbiome is a bit like a forest ecosystem losing biodiversity. When fewer species are around to keep them in check, the whole system becomes more fragile. Microbes are just like us. They have different preferences. Some prefer sugars or fats, and some like fiber. And what you eat directly shapes what species thrive, and which ones don't. So the more fiber you eat, the more likely you are to have those fiber-loving, fiber-processing microbes we talked about a few minutes ago. Remember those short-chain fatty acids they produce when they break down fiber? They help trigger hormones that signal fullness and communicate with your brain, helping regulate how hungry you feel. Some research suggests that microbes may also interact with the brain's reward systems, which could play a role in shaping food preferences over time. Over time, what you eat doesn't just feed you, it helps shape the system that regulates your appetite. Too long didn't listen? Eat more fiber. In North America, over 90% of people fall short of the recommended amount. Our microbes shape our daily lives, the food we crave, how we feel, and how our brains function. And maybe most surprisingly, they talk to your brain. Your gut microbiome is linked to the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which influences mood, sleep, and behavior. 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut. Bacteria, like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, can produce signals that influence other neurotransmitters, like GABA and dopamine, affecting relaxation, motivation, and reward. Even E. coli can produce signaling molecules that interact with your nervous system. Your gut microbiota communicates with your brain through multiple pathways: through the vagus nerve, through microbial metabolites like short-chain fatty acids, and through signals sent by your immune system. Since the brain decides what we eat, gut bacteria are pretty interested in a healthy brain. Which means the way you feel isn't entirely up to you. It might also be up to the trillions of microorganisms you're carrying around 24/7. Altogether, microbes in your gut carry millions of genes, far more than the around 25,000 human genes that we have. Which means most of the genes in your body aren't actually human. Besides outnumbering them, microbial genes can influence how our human genes behave. Here's just one example. Researchers have found that some elite athletes carry a specific bacteria that can break down lactase, the compound that builds up during intense exercise. When those bacteria were transferred into mice, the mice were able to run longer on a treadmill, which is pretty incredible, because while you can't change your DNA, you can change how it acts by changing the ecosystem living inside you. Fecal microbiota transplants, yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, are used to treat certain infections. Most famously, they're used for Clostridioides difficile, or C. diff. This rod-shaped bacteria can take over the gut when the normal microbial community has been disrupted and becomes less diverse, often after antibiotics. Fecal transplants replenish that missing diversity by introducing microbes from a healthy donor into a patient's gut. This brings some ammo for C. diff. And just when it feels like we're starting to understand this system, something new shows up. Recently, scientists discovered strange genetic elements called obelisks living inside the human microbiome. They're tiny loops of RNA, not cells, not viruses or bacteria, and not even built like the protein-based machinery most life relies on. They are considered a potential new class of biological entity. What scientists do know is that they're pretty simple elements that could change how the bacteria they live in behave, and indirectly, they could play a role in our microbiome. A reminder that there's always new amazing discoveries to be made deep within us. Even with major discoveries like obelisks, what is unknown about the gut microbiome still far outweighs what is known. So always stay tuned for new bizarre discoveries. It doesn't help that obelisks aren't the only thing in the strange gray area between the living and the non-living. Cue viruses. They're often seen as enemies, but many of them are just another part of the ecosystem. Some scientists call it the virome, and it is highly personal. Some research suggests it may even be more individualized than your bacteria. Over 95% of the human gut virome are bacteriophages. They are viruses that specifically target bacteria, acting like predators that infect bacteria and keep their populations from exploding. They look almost mechanical under a microscope, like tiny lunar landers, with legs that latch on to bacteria and inject their genetic material inside. This prevents any one bacterial species from taking over, which is bad for microbial diversity and can play a part in conditions like inflammatory bowel disease. Some viruses may specifically help protect the gut by binding with the mucus layer and infect any bacteria that tries to overgrow. Scientists are even exploring phages as targeted treatments, using viruses to kill specific bacteria like E. coli, Staphylococcus aureus, or Pseudomonas aeruginosa without affecting the rest of the microbiome. Moral of the story: even your microbes have microbes. And there are a lot of them. There are roughly as many viruses as bacteria living in your body, and this whole episode has shown you just how many bacteria that is. So why don't we talk about viruses as much? Because they're harder to study. They're much smaller than bacteria and incredibly diverse, making them difficult to detect, classify, and even define. But what we do know is pretty wild. Some viruses have inserted their genetic material into our DNA over millions of years and stayed there. Today, 8% of the human genome is made up of ancient viral sequences, remnants of infections from long ago. Which means some of your DNA has gone viral. And some of these viral genes have been repurposed by our bodies to help with processes like early development and immune function. One of them, called syncytin, actually helps form the placenta, allowing cells to fuse together and support early development. Tens of millions of years ago, ancient viruses infected tiny, fluffy, shrew-like nocturnal creatures. These were early mammals, living in the shadows of dinosaurs. These viruses weren't trying to help. They were just inserting their DNA into mammalian cells to reproduce. Over time, evolution kept these viral genes and repurposed them to help build the placenta. Before them, early mammals could already reproduce, but their pregnancies were shorter, placentas were much simpler, and babies were less developed after birth. Without syncytin, mammals as we know them today might not exist. When you zoom out, each human body looks like an entire world with different environments, different species, and different survival strategies. Each person's microbiome is actually as unique as a fingerprint. Even identical twins have distinct microbiomes. Even something as small as your belly button can host dozens of different microbial species, sometimes completely unique combinations found nowhere else. So the next time you think about wildlife, you might not have to look very far.